visiting the village of Chio, which is in the southwest. You might be able to see that behind me. You might see the faint outline of the island of La Gomera out to sea. It'll be a bit difficult because it's quite hazy. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm just setting off up into the mountains where I'm going to camp tonight. I've earmarked a spot and left about 5 litres of water there because groundwater doesn't really exist in Tenerife. So I've got a hike of probably 3 hours or more up to the campsite. I then plan to camp overnight at an altitude of it's about 6,500 feet, something like that. Anyway, still quite hot this time of day. 4 o'clock-ish in the summer in Tenerife is just about the hottest part of the day. So I'm going to crack on, hopefully get up into the trees a bit where there's a bit more shelter. One of the few water sources here in Tenerife that you can rely on is the Canal de Vergara, which is what you see in front of you here. It's a water channel extending for around 75 kilometres around the island and it brings fresh spring water out of the mountainside round from the north of the island to the south, and every now and again there are these hatches where you can access the water, which is really useful, especially on a hot day like today. I was really feeling thirsty then, and I've just drunk over half a litre, which is saved on my supplies, which are actually stashed at the place where I'm going to camp tonight. Alright, 3.6 kilometres I've walked from Chio. That 3.6 kilometres has been virtually all uphill, and there's still more to go. Heading up for the TF38 near Montaña Samara. Sun's starting to cool a bit now. A lot more shadows, so it's a lot more pleasant than it was. It's about 7:30 in the morning now. It's more or less light. Beautiful, calm, quiet day. And the sun's just coming up. In the background to my left through the trees you might be able to see the Canary island of La Gomera with the clouds sitting on it. And if I walk over here a bit and turn round, there to my right you can see Tenerife's second highest peak, around 10,200 feet. It's Pico Viejo, which is a subsidiary summit of Teide. Not really a separate summit in its own right. It has a large crater about 800 metres across and last erupted in 1798. But yeah, it's really so peaceful up here this morning. Anyway, I'm packing up and I'm heading towards a volcano called Montaña Samara, which is actually right by the road, so there's a parking area and quite often there's tourists scrambling up to the top. But, it should be pretty quiet when I get there because of the time of day. So I'm just about to start packing up and make my way towards it. It's not that far away actually. Alright, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I've started walking, just left campsite, my campsite. Just show you the panorama that we have here. If you can see it, just behind the trees there, you can see with some clouds shrouding around it is the island of La Gomera, and right on the horizon there, just above the sea of clouds, you can see the twin sort of summits of the island of La Palma, and below the clouds you might be able to see with some sun shining on it now, the more or less in the centre of the picture now, it's lit up by the sun. You can see the communications mast on the top of Pico Viejo, Pico de Gala, which is in the Tenerife Mountains in the west of Tenerife. I'm heading now through the volcanic landscape. Actually last night I camped in a small patch of pine forest there. It was quite comfortable there actually, apart from the fact I was on a bit of a slope, so my bed kept sliding down. Not too bad, but it slipped down a little bit in the night and I had to pull it back up to the top of the tent. But, it's absolutely beautiful here this morning. Look at this. This is Montaña Botija, this cone here. I arrived quite late last night at my campsite just as it was getting dark, and there were 3 people stood on the top of it watching the sunset, presumably because the sun was set over in that direction. Well, sort of more that direction actually, but they were watching it from the top. I just had just about enough time to pitch my tent before it got pitch black, and I had to switch the head torch on. Anyway, heading towards Montaña Samara now, and the car park there, and it should be a lot quieter than it normally is at this time of day, because quite often there's tourists climbing all over it. So as I said earlier, it is quite close to the road. Anyway, need to concentrate a bit now. I had a bit of a change of mind down there. Decided to climb up towards Montaña Botija, and there's another shot of Pico Viejo. Sun's just coming up over the ridge. It's all looking fairly wonderful. climbing up this volcanic ash is quite difficult. It's a bit like walking on a beach as your feet sink into the ground and you sort of slide backwards a little bit. It really is quite energy sapping, but it means you have plenty of opportunity to stop and look at the views. Summit of Montaña de La Botija now. Just thought I'd do you a summit panorama just so you could see what it's like up here. That's in the sun. In the background there is Teide spinning round. Get fabulous views down towards the coast and the mountains up towards Boca de Tauce, and then down to the Tenerife mountains, across to La Gomera and La Palma. It's really spectacular up here this morning, it really is. It's very quiet, nobody about. Got the place to myself. It's really superb. Unfortunately, Teide is rather obscured by the rising sun, but you can sort of see it there. But it's not the best view of it. Everything else makes up for it.